so far, thank you, Kingsley. Thank you, Divine Unduka. We have some people here. Please, Ayo Alonge, kindly drop the attendance correctly. It is very important. So, okay, sorry, there is another information. So please, your full name, your phone number, your email, your state of your position, if you are an executive or not, please, this is important. Please drop that. So a very quick one. I would like to highlight our facilitator for today. Though we're having two trainings for today, and the first one will be from Mr. Jiran Adegoke. That is about leading hope and literary, the power of passion and purpose in leadership. And having this person, Mr. Jiran, having meeting him in person, I can say that no, we've gotten nothing than grace to have him here. Like when some people share their experience with you, you'll feel nothing but at least fulfillment of passion and a dream come true. So I believe this session is very important for every one of us. Sometimes, sometimes we just have to, okay, Leader Joy, I got it. So sometimes you just have to pray to meet some people, and this person is actually one of them, Mr. Adiradik. Okay. So without taking much of our time, I would like to call on a leader Ngozi Clara to recite the first trainer's profile, and that is Mr. Adiradik. Okay. Leader Ngozi, are you there? Leader Ngozi Clara, are you with us? Okay, Leader Joy, please, can you check your message? Thank you. So, as I was saying, the first
Yes,
training will
here.
be
I'm
from
here.
all right, thank you. It will be from Mr. Dino, and my leader here, Ngozi Clara, will be reading the profile to us. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the program. My job tonight will be introducing Mr. Adiviran Adegoke. He is a youth engagement specialist and a Yali youth program coordinator for Northern Region at the U.S. Embassy. He is deeply rooted in youth and leadership development in Nigeria and beyond. He has personally and professionally overseen various youth intervention projects carried out by the U.S. missions in Nigeria. He is a dedicated leader, humble and unassuming. So today we'll have the pleasure to welcome him in our midst to take us on this very special event at the 2024 National Leadership Academy of Yali Network Nigeria. Thank you very much for listening and welcome to Mr. Adediran Adegoke.
All right, thank you very much, Leader Ngozi Clara. So we have a leader, Adejiro Adegoke, with us. Thank you so much for joining. Please, as is about to start, kindly drop your attendance. It is very important. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the cooked up bio. I'm not one for bios. When they asked me to provide a bio, I said, sorry, I don't do bios. And that's for two reasons. One, it helps me stay grounded. Two is that I consider Yali family. So I really don't think I need introduction that much. That said, apologies. Apologies. I hope you can hear me well.
You are audible, sir.
Okay. Apologies if there are background noise from the other room. As you can imagine, this is evening time. and the whole family is around, but hopefully it's not too loud. Okay. My goal this evening is to share a few things with you and also have some time to be able to entertain exchange of questions and ideas, basically. So pardon me if I move too fast. But yeah, let's see how this goes. Well done to the leadership team of the Yali Nigeria for putting this together. I think it's a good idea. Thanks for the honor of kicking this off. And thanks to everyone who's here. Well done. I know it feels funny sometimes when we thank people for choosing to invest in themselves, but at the same time, you could be anywhere else. Many other things could be taking your time, but you're here. Thank you. Okay, with that, let us get into the business of the day, which is basically leading up and leading laterally, the power of passion and purpose. So the first thing I think will be important for us to do is to understand leadership. And what is leadership? I know there are many books that have taught on leadership, and it's nothing new. We generally have ideas about what leadership is. But I think when we have meetings like this, when we have interactions like this, the point of it is to try and simplify things. So I'll simplify leadership to simply mean influence. Because at the end of the day, when you look at what leadership is all about, is the ability to influence others to action. This is the ability to influence others to a cause. So take, for instance, Nigeria is called the big brother of Africa. Nigeria is called the giant of Africa. Nigeria, as of today, is not the present president of the AU, even if you have to look for a formal position. But to a good extent, everybody looks to Nigeria and everybody on the continent leans to the direction Nigeria generally pushes for. And that's what leadership is, the ability of Nigeria to influence the rest of Africa. It's also what, we all do in our different spaces as leaders, the ability to influence others to action. Now, formal leadership, on the other hand, it is when this influence is backed up by authority. So, for instance, a formal leader or a leader in a formal position would be, maybe like an elected officer. That is someone who has the power and the influence over people, and by virtue of his election has been backed by the authority and the power of the people. Now, sometimes people do have the authority, but not the influence. And sometimes people have the influence, but not the authority. But when you have a marriage of the two, that's the best scenario for formal leadership. How does that translate to us in the Yali network? Now, Yali is a bit of a hybrid because you guys are backed by the authority both of the embassy and of the people who elected you into office. But at the same time, you are leading volunteers. So while you have a certain level of authority, without the right amount of influence, your hub will most likely die because all your followers will depart from you, and a leader without a follower is on a stroll. It's not leading anybody. So that's what makes the Yali network scenario quite tricky. Now, how do you handle leading volunteers? Because again, when we are talking about leading people, I'm still speaking about leadership generally. So this is still about leaders and followers. Before I get into the issue of leading your peers or, leadership amongst peers and leadership leading up, that's leadership with superiors. So when your followers are volunteers, like you have it in the Yali network, what you are trying to do one of the most important things you need to do is to win people's loyalty. To be able to get people to go the extra mile, knock on doors, you know, great lengths to support not just you, but the project, you know, that you are calling them to, not just you, the project, and also the hub. And to achieve that, first, you need to be a good communicator. Communication is very key to leadership. You need to be able to communicate the goal and the vision to people clearly. You need to be able to communicate it in a way that they can buy into it, that is inspiring. So what you need to lead volunteers is inspirational kind of leadership, because you are inspiring them to own and run with the vision and run with you. Because at the end of the day, you are not rewarding them with any form of payment, and they are given, in quotes, more than they are receiving. So to a good extent, I'd like to encourage everybody present on this call today to, as you continue to lead, especially within the Yali network, but also in various volunteer spaces, ensure that your approach is one of inspiration, inspiring your volunteers and your followers to be able to buy into the vision, to see, while this might not be a paid venture, but one, there is an intrinsic value that they would derive from this, and great and better still, there's an intrinsic value that they are producing for others in this. Moving on, speaking about leadership, we've spoken about the fact that, you know, you are trying to inspire people to do something, either to a project or even to the hub. And as a result, I say leadership is a vector, not a scalar quantity. For those of you who have a bit of a scientific background and did further maths, you understand what I mean by vector. But for those of you who don't know, a vector is anything that has not just quantity, but a direction. So for instance, speed is a scalar quantity, but acceleration is a vector, because you are accelerating in a certain direction. When you're accelerating in a car, you're not accelerating on one spot. But you can get something to revolve very fast on one spot. What that translates to in leadership is that, number one, leadership is towards a purpose. That purpose could be a project. That purpose could be the group. That purpose could be, you know, a cause. But the purpose is the direction in which the group is moving. So to lead, you are leading in a direction. You are leading people towards something, towards the achievement of a goal. That's the direction. But then you need speed, you need quantity, and that's where passion comes in. Passion is the fuel upon which leadership rides to get to its purpose. Let me continue. Now, most leaders, amongst leadership categories, I mean, there are very few levels of leaders where you don't have someone you are reporting to or peers you are working with. So most leaders usually have peers and superiors, and what you are looking for. So for instance, in quotes, I lead the Yali network in northern Nigeria largely, but with oversight over the whole of Nigeria. But I have people I report to in the embassy who are my own supervisors and my own superiors. I have colleagues in Lagos who cover southern Nigeria who are my peers. So that's just to speak to the fact that, most leaders, except, probably people like presidents and some other things, are the people who, and even at that, there's a way in which you can say, for checks and balance in the system, the president responds to the legislature and some other things like that, and the judiciary. So there are different levels of checks and balances, but in most hierarchical structure of leadership in organizations, oftentimes you have a peer and a superior. And how you lead this set of people, or how you lead with this set of people, is not so much different. It's just that the purpose for leading them differs. So, for instance, from your peers, what you're looking for is support. But from your superior, what you're looking for is approval. So, for instance, typical example is when the Yali network comes up with a project and feels, oh, this project, let us run it by the embassy. What you are doing is managing up at that level to get the embassy's approval before we go ahead with this project. That's managing up. Now, amongst yourselves as coordinators, when you are, planning and trying to create a national plan, so to say, for everybody, or you're planning for something like the national summit, what you are looking for is the support of your colleagues to achieve that summit, to, in fact, craft that summit and then achieve its implementation. That said, how do you now lead in this circumstance? How do you lead in this circumstance? The first thing you need to understand is leadership starts with self. Someone who cannot lead themselves cannot lead others. And what does self-leadership really mean? It means that you are someone who first understands your own strengths and weaknesses and the opportunities for growth. Now, let me quickly explain what that means. Strength is what you're good at. Weakness is what you're not good at. Opportunities for growth is simply what you are not good at, but you are able to learn, because it's not everything that you are not good at that we are able to learn. I know motivational speakers have told us we can achieve anything we want to achieve. Yeah. To a certain extent, that is true, but it's not true in the literal form of it. Not all of us can, for instance, at the same time be doctor, engineer, lawyer, accountant. Is it possible to learn any of those things? Yes. Is it possible to learn more than one? Yes. But to do all of them at the same time, maybe not. And for some people, the aptitude to learn certain things is just not there. So, strengths, weaknesses, and the opportunities for your growth. The next thing you need to do is understand the team of people you're working with. This is true for the people who are your followers, the people who are your peers, and the people who are your superiors or supervisors. One of the things I would recommend to all of you at the end of this, what's it called? Training, is that you take a personality test. Now, personality tests are tests that reveal your strengths, your weaknesses, and the opportunities for growth. And it helps you fully understand your person. Ideally, where possible, it is advised that leaders also put their teammates through a personality test so that you are not just understanding yourself, you're understanding those who you work with. So, for instance, in my church, a couple of years ago, you know, all members of the departments were encouraged to take personality tests. Both the HOD and the members, everybody takes a personality test so that everybody understands each other's personality. What that does oftentimes is that it helps you understand why certain persons behave the way they do and how to get across to them. So for instance, you would notice that somebody on the team is very slow and in your mind overly careful. And usually you're like, when we give work to you, it takes you forever, blah, blah, blah. By the time you take a personality test, you discover that that person is an introvert. And then the personality test lets you know what the strengths and the weaknesses of this person are, and you know the kind of jobs to give them. You don't give them time-bound jobs. Probably give them more research-oriented jobs to help support the vision, but not very intense time-bound jobs. I would put a website on the chat group right now. I would encourage all of you to take, it's a free, oh, sorry, it's not to everyone. It's a free, what's it called? Personality test website, and it gives you, you know, breakdown. It helps you answer a couple of questions. It helps you to understand your person, tells you the kind of personality you have, and then it gives you a breakdown of, you know, strengths, weakness, and all that. So I would strongly encourage everybody to take the test. If there are other tools, there are more than one type of tool to take a personality test. Some people call it leadership test also. And you have access to that, please do. But this is one very good and free one that I am aware of, and that's why I'm recommending it. Nothing special about it. But once you understand yourself and you understand others, it becomes easier to lead. It becomes much more easier to lead because you now know who to assign certain tasks to, how to communicate to people, differently. Because oftentimes what happens is, to a great extent, we communicate to the team and expect everybody to receive it the same way. It's human nature. It's the shortcuts to doing things, but oftentimes is part of the reasons why we struggle with team dynamics sometimes, which leads me to the issue of leadership style. There are many different kinds of leadership style, but from what you may have figured out that I proposed right now, if you would be communicating and be leading members of your team and your peers differently, then that means you can't use a one-size-fits-all leadership style. You need to have a dynamic leadership style. That is often called situational leadership. Situational leadership helps you to simply adapt your leadership style to individuals and to circumstances. Because if you decide to treat somebody who is a go-getter, self-motivated person the same way you would treat somebody who is a little more conscious, shy, and all that, it would cause friction, and chances are that you would lose the shy person because you would always compare them to the go-getter. And one of the biggest flaws in leadership is comparison. I know this is very, very difficult and very hard. I'm not going to kid you. It is. But studies have shown, and I can tell you from personal experience too, that to be a successful and effective leader, you need to be situational. One, you need to understand the people. Two, you need to be situational. Now, I must also admit that it's not all the time you would, especially when you are dealing with superiors, you can't give your superior, my God, please, can you help me fill this personality test? It's gonna be awkward and it's gonna be hard. So I must confess that that is in itself comes with a challenge. But if you start with the circle you can influence, over time, you build up an understanding and a refined ability to read people without putting them through tests from few encounters. And from there, you would be able to know how to adapt to manage them. One of the major challenges with managing up is history, because again, you're not able to put your gut through personality test, one. Two is that you are dealing with them still trying to understand their personality, and then probably some friction has happened. And because they're in a superior position, they start to look at you and deal with you from the position of those events. And that can be pretty challenging, because what you're now doing for the rest of your time with them is trying to correct an impression and all that. But as much as possible, one of the things I would recommend is start with the circles you can control to build up your ability to read people's personalities and hence what's likely to be their leadership acumen, and know how to relate with them. One other thing I would encourage strongly with leading up is when you have a new supervisor that you are working with, one of the first sets of things you should do is sit down with them and have a conversation. How do you like things done? What frequency do you like? What are the kind of what mode of communication works best for you? Are you a text person? Are you a phone call person? Are you an email person? Are you an in-person person? That is, I can just show up in front of your door and ask, sir, this project, blah, 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 blah. Or madam, this project, or you prefer that, I do it by office chats or WhatsApp, or send you a formal mail, understand those little things. It would go a long way in helping you know how to manage people. Understanding how frequent they like communication. Some people like to be updated daily on what's going on. Have those conversations, ask questions early so that you are not trying to read them from afar and then making mistakes that would lead to you creating an unfavorable history, and then it makes managing up more difficult. I think it's important to mention that. Now, I know we're moving fast on time, so I would quickly say a few things about kinds of people generally. I know there are way more than this, but kinds of people, both peers and bosses, or generally people that you would meet. There are the silent people who don't, give feedback, who don't communicate a lot. If you are going to manage those people, either managing up or managing literally, you have to do a lot of communication. So you constantly have to ask them for feedback. Sir, what do you think about this? Ma'am, when would you like this to be done? Asking for deadlines, being proactive and asking questions. Because what often happens with silent people is that unconsciously they expect you to read their mind. And you are like, and so when things are late, they're like, but you didn't tell me this is when you needed it. Simply because you didn't ask. So when you're managing up, especially with people who don't communicate, when do you need this? What are the agreed things to be done? What are the agreed goals for the project? What's your feedback on, or what do you think concerning where we are at right now? Do we need to recalibrate and things? You need to move to them for communication. When you are dealing with somebody who's new and trying to understand the terrain, then you have to do a bit of education. In educating, you need to remember and respect the fact that they are your supervisors. So while you have institutional knowledge, they still hold the approval. Same thing with peers. When you're dealing with peers who are new to this space, you need to respect the fact that they are your peers. So while you are giving education and, sharing knowledge of, oh, this is what we used to do, these are the things I would advise, well, you have to do a lot for people who are new to the experience is do a lot of advising. What I would advise is this, what I would advise is that. Not, oh, don't worry, I have it all figured out. Just walk with me, go with the flow. That's going to run you into troubles. Now, there are certain kinds of people, and I know we've experienced this a lot. I doubt there's a Nigerian who hasn't experienced this. There are people who would not delegate or give you breathing space, the micromanagers. For these kind of people, you need to first be patient, try and understand why this person is a micromanager. Because sometimes it is that these people became micromanagers simply because either they are perfectionists and have a very high standards, or they have been let down in the past and then they look at everybody else through the lens of others' past failures, or whatever it may be. But whatever the case is, as much as possible, try and understand what may be fueling their need for control and micromanagement and try and address it, not in communication, but with performance. Someone's mic is on, please. Now, there are certain kinds of, common type of people you would meet a lot, both as supervisors and as partners, are people who, for want of a better word, are disorganized. They are all over the place. In their head, the truth is, for those people, in their head, they know where everything is. But relative to others, everything is scattered. These kind of people, you will need to do some shepherding. So, for instance, you have a peer who, in quotes, wants to serve on 4 or 5 committees, or wants to implement 4 or 5 projects at the same time. And to your mind and reasonably realistically, you think, max we can do is 2. The idea would not be to shout them down and, try and get them to adjust. The idea would be to understand that, oh, this person might be a bit of an idea fairy. This person might be a bit of a an elastic band that likes to stretch and be accommodating. What you would need to do is help shepherd them towards a focus at a time. By 1, reminding them of deadlines. 2, being proactive on feedback on the priority projects at a point in time. Things like that. Like, yes, I understand, this and this. And, you'd acknowledge the fact that, oh, I understand you're very busy. I mean, you're working on this project, working on that project. Depending on how much time you have, you can even ask for little updates about the not so important ones. But, that way you have shown an appreciation for their value and their commitments. But, carefully managing and shepherding them towards the right and the urgent and important priorities at this point in time. I know most of you probably have read the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and that's something you need in leadership. I would gladly recommend. If you've not read it, please go and read it also. But one of the most important things from that book is the priority quadrant: urgent and important, not urgent but important, important, not urgent and not important, not important but urgent. Being able to schedule things into these 4 quadrants would help you prioritize and would also help you help others prioritize. Very important thing. So let me stop here and make room for questions, feedback, and what's on people's minds. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Dejo. It's a blessing to listen to you. At some point, I was just like, wow, really? I've met this type of person before. I've met this. Just trying to imagine things and some people that we have presently, especially when you mentioned something about silent people. They expect you to read their minds, and that's true. Thank you very much. We really got values. For me, I'm speaking for everyone, sincerely. And I would want to believe that there are questions. There are questions. So please, leaders, if you have questions, just it's better you signify so we can give you room to do that. Please. Very insightful. Yes, I know, right? Especially those people that are silent. Oh my God. They expect you that you should read their minds. And sometimes when you have target and you'll be like, wow, really? Are you kidding me? You expect me? And at a point when he mentioned that some people are micromanagers, no, sincerely, they always have high standard. I agree with you. And another set of people are these disorganized people. Sincerely, they believe they know everything and they are doing the right thing. But to you, you feel like maybe they are not doing the right thing, but to them. So with this, we've gotten a lot of values. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Adejiran. Please, if you have questions, let's know. Okay, Patrick. Patrick, wisdom. Okay, I have 2 already. So I believe we should be able to take 5 questions, please. Please, if you really enjoy this, throw some comments. Let's see it, feel it. Maybe I'm the only one that has been listening. I don't know. So, okay. Okay, we have Suleiman Monday. So let's take it from, I want it to be 5. So at least.
I can see Mark Fred too. How's his hand up?
Okay, okay. Okay, we have Mark Fred, we have Paul. That's 2. From the chat box, I think I have 3 already, so that's good. So let's start from the first person. I'll take wisdom first. Wisdom. Oh, I missed one person. God.
Okay.
Wisdom. I'm sorry about the pronunciation. I don't know. Ugwegbu, right? Wisdom. Please let's have your
Yes,
question, then
yes, you're
followed
right.
by. Okay, thank you.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and good evening to our facilitator this evening. And just like he said, my name is Freedom Ogbebu, and I'm from Imo State. I'm looking at the attendance. I think I'm the only person coming from Imo State. Wow, it's cool. So my question is 2 questions I have to ask. One is just like when you said those persons that are quiet that expect you to read their mind. Then when you give them tasks, you don't give them timely tasks, just like you said, and you don't expect or you are not expected to scold them when they are not meeting up. Now, in a situation where it is this person that is actually supposed to deliver, having maybe read through the terms and condition, or maybe scopes of the job he or she must have applied, knowing fully well that probably pressure, timely delivering is important in the administration or the leadership role the person is taking, or whoever that she or he must be working under. And this time around, you're not supposed to scold that person. You're not supposed to even give them timely job. What then do we do in order to make them to feel belong? And how do we deliver when it is time for timely job? That is one. I don't know if you got my question.
I did.
Hello?
Yes, I did. I did.
Okay, you did.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the second question also is the second question is a lot of youth, a lot of us have this capacity to lead, to have what it takes to go into the society and influence peer group, even people that are below and above us. But then the opportunity isn't far coming. Bringing Yali into our life, I think, is a stepping stone. My question is, how is Yali planning to pick up this person that have shown interest in order to, be in the leadership system? Thank you.
Okay. Very quickly. So I would break down your first question into three things. There is the silent follower, there's the silent peer, and there's the silent supervisor. The reason why I need to do that is, the focus of what I was given to speak about and the reality of your situation. So I think you speak more to a silent follower. So I'll speak about how to manage the three different categories. For a silent follower, the first thing is, depending on how large your team is, you may not assign them very urgent and time-bound tasks. If possible, you assign them long-term tasks that have long-term. And one of the things you need to do regularly is ask for feedback on where they are. Patiently, but you have to create a schedule of getting feedback from them so as to get them to move pace. Now, I do not, just to provide a little bit of a balance, I do not believe or propose that a leader should not have a bit of sanction. However, I would say let sanction not be the first thing we go to, because in leading, you also need discipline, self-discipline and, group discipline. So if having done the due diligence to be patient and support this person the way that is necessary for you to, and they still fail to perform, then, apply the appropriate sanction, which may be, taken out. Because again, these are ideas you can use even at work. So if it's a place where you have a level of authority to, query someone, then you give them a query. If it's a place like Yali network, then it's simple. Depending on whether they are an ESCO or just a network member, you can step them down from the committee and let somebody else replace them. Things like that. For your peers, where you really can't discipline people, I mean, what you need from them is support. You will still need to do the same thing, follow up with them a lot, and try and create like expectations politely. But you may need to have a plan B, especially once you see that deadlines are beginning to approach. You may need to look for a plan B. Who else can I approach to deliver this? And once you start to go the route of your plan B, simply let them know, because we are pressed for time, please don't mind. I've also spoken to this person to help so that as we are attacking it from two sides, we will be able to meet up with time. Now, when you are dealing with a supervisor, different ball game, but that one, you have to constantly go, ask questions, show working, ask questions, show working. Now, concerning the question on Yali, what does Yali cannot, provide all the opportunities. We've provided the network as an opportunity for you to refine your skills and launch and create both a platform for yourself and a platform for others. So where possible, and we try to do this, where possible, where we have access to bigger platforms, we will create and look within the Yali network to create, to fill those platforms. But you know, as at last count, 200,000 Yali network members, it's difficult to provide 200,000 leadership opportunities. So we trust that as we continue to support the ecosystem itself would spur you guys to be able to create and take advantage of, more platforms and opportunities. Thank you. Very quickly, let's go to the next person. Oh, Lord Okpara, let's take you. Hello, Paul. Can you hear me? Okay. In the absence of Paul, can we take McFred?
I can hear you.
Okay. Good evening.
Can you hear me now?
Speaking. Paul. Okay. McFred, hold on.
Yeah.
Paul, go ahead.
All right. Thank you so very much, Mr. Duran. I totally gained value from your session, and particularly speaking about leadership and how to handle a cross section of people that would have that would have it a bit dicey for you, especially those that are quiet. Makes a whole lot of sense. I've not heard it this way. I've not heard it in this fashion before. So it's just brewed a couple of questions. I might not be able to ask all of them. Maybe I would write you privately through your email to ask those questions, but I will just ask one for want of time. Is that okay, sir?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So the question is, there are still bothering around those that are quiet, silent kind of people. Of course, we can't change them, but that is who they are. But I have this challenge, I have this problem with people like that. They have, they might have acumen, they might have the mien to, to stride in leadership, or they might have the content and desire, which is most importantly for me, one of the major metrics to being a leader, the desire. They might have all this, and when push comes to shove, when they are expected to enact their leadership skills and all that, they get overwhelmed by expectation. They might not be the topmost leader or the highest ranking leader. They might just be amongst the leadership, but they get overwhelmed with the responsibilities they found themselves saddled with. But because of their nature of being quiet and just withdrawn and all that, it might be difficult to navigate what is on their mind. Like you rightly said, which is very true. They expect you to read their minds and know. What skill can, or what measure can one use to extract that tendency of being an amazing leader? How do you bring it out, aside from trying to make them speak out? But I think there are other ways you can have them, even while they want to be what they are, quiet and all that. Are there ways you can just for the sake of the progress of that organization or company, juice out best when it comes to leadership, service delivery, and all that from such kind of people? Because I think it might take time. I'm saying that of experience. It might take time to have these people.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And
Come out.
mic is breaking,
while you
but I
still
think I
have
get.
other things to do. You have a personal life, you have yeah. Or is there a way you can bring a girl or trying to make them
So, Paul, can you hear me?
okay, did he get the major part of the question, sir?
Yes, I did.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So thank you for your question. There are two things involved. There is the purpose of the group, and then there's the purpose with the person. Depending on the amount of time you have and the urgency of purpose for the group, you might not have the luxury of time to invest in these people. But for people who don't speak, to bring out, it's like mining gold from a rock. It takes time. It's like mining gold from a rock. It takes time. While for people who are, out there, communicative, catch the vision, who are bubbly, self-motivated, that's like squeezing honey out of the hive, the honeycomb. It's easy. So it's subject to, one, how much time you have to spend on this person, because if you want to bring out the leader in them, then they become a project for you. That project would require time and patience. It would require you knowing what they are good at and placing them where they are good so that they can shine, and that leveraging their ability to shine to draw them out, not just in communication, but also in what's it called? In delivery. So that would be my counsel to you. That my counsel would be, for these people, look at them and what you need to deliver as a leadership group, and know how you want to prioritize investing in them and investing in the project at hand. Thank you very much. Mark Fred, over to you.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sir. I really want to start by appreciating you for this profound section. It was really, really valuable. I I gained quite a lot from it. So I was having two questions. Though one, you have been able to address it by the last response that you gave. So literally, with the topic and with even what you have been able to talk about, I want to hear a key differences in a leading up and leading literally, because is there those two words for me are not really the same. When we find ourselves in that sphere whereby you are all passionate about maybe fulfilling a purpose and making an impact, and then at the other end, we're now hearing that we have to really go ahead and carry everyone along, even with their own um, indifferences and limitations. So can you give a key difference whereby one have to really maybe lead up, and in the other sense also one had to also lead, and then how does passion also influence these approaches, as the two have already mentioned? I don't know if you got the question, sir.
Yes, I did.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes. So the major distinction between leading up and leading laterally is, number one, the purpose, like I mentioned earlier. One, you're trying to get their support. Two, you're trying to get, for leading up, you're trying to get their approval, because you can't move forward without their approval. For leading laterally, you might be able to walk around it. So I cited an example that, look, if you are trying to lead your peers and having done the necessary bit to get them to buy into the vision or to catch up pace, they are not catching up pace. You might need to walk around them, you know, with wisdom, but respectfully. But leading up, unfortunately, you cannot walk around up because you need the approval. So that's one major difference between lateral and vertical leadership. Leadership up, you need to find a way to get their buy-in. For your peers, depending on, you know, the stakes at the moment, you can afford to work within other peers or work with other peers at the time being that are available and able to do what you want to do. But for leading up, what you are trying to, what you have at the back of your mind is, I can't escape this person. So how do I get their blessing? And that would influence the actions you would need to help them see value and respond, you know, quickly to what you're looking for. Yeah, so that's the difference. And also, yeah. Israel, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. Thank you very much for the session. It's really been a lot. So my first question, I have two questions. So let me start with the second one. Okay, so that's the first one now. Please, the link to the personality test that you talked about. Maybe you mentioned the name or you give us the link so that we can check it out, maybe after the session tonight. Then the second question I want to ask is that as
It's on the
leaders,
chat box right now. I've pasted it again. I know the attendance pushed it up.
16 personalities. All right, thank you very much, sir. So the other question I want to ask is that as leaders that have position, at times a lot of them behave like I don't really need this person, especially when it comes to a volunteering situation, and you pass off the vibe to the followers or those you are leading, and they can perceive that this person does not really lead me. So if you don't need me, I don't need to even stress myself. You are not even paying me, it's a voluntary work. So I feel in that situation, they are leading through coercion, leading through maybe force. I'll just give command. If you like, follow. If you don't follow through it, you're on your own. But you mentioned something about leading with inspiration. And I think that is actually something that we should learn. But how exactly do we lead by inspiration? That even people that are volunteering, they will be so committed as if you are paying them just because you've touched something inside them that just want to uh, do beyond what they are capable of.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So inspiration is two things, it's words and action. First, you have to be seen to be committed to the cause. And the way you carry the cause as a person must draw other people. Second is you need, and this is where, again, I mentioned earlier, communication is very important, ability to communicate. Communication would take you very far in life because one, it helps you to be able to make the vision clear to people, but it also helps you to be able to push people into the vision. And the easiest example I can use right now is one of the reasons why people like Barack Obama is because of his inspiring speeches. We all talk about the popular I have a dream. of Martin Luther King. These are people who have learned and built communication and were able to communicate a dream. How many years ago? To thousands of people, until today, people are still having a dream. People are still buying into that dream. That dream is clear. That dream is exciting. That dream says what's in it for me. And what's in it for me as a person listening to I Have a Dream is not something tangible. It's not a financial reward. Is an appeal to, you know what they say, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is an appeal to the superior aspects of my needs that is beyond food, clothing, and shelter. Probably a little towards status and acknowledgement, to say, I am part of the team that turned around, for instance, the situation in this community. I am part of the team that created this idea that empowered this number of businesses. Those are the ways you would need to communicate to them to say, look, this project, the reason why I need you people on board, the reason why I need you guys to run with it is because of these things. You understand? So inspirational speech, inspirational communication, and you know, not just being somebody who's the talk, but somebody who also walks the walk is very important. I understand we are pressed for time right now. Thank you. Barakat, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Adedira. We really appreciate your time and the values dished out. However, I apologize to everyone who plan to ask questions. Please kindly keep those questions. Don't even try to trash them. No, we'll attend to them after the next speaker speech. Please, apologies. So thank you very much, Mr. Diro. Thank you so much for coming on the board. We appreciate you dearly. Thank you so much. So
My
I believe
pleasure,
if
and my
there are,
apologies to the next speaker too.
thank you. If there are further questions, perhaps we can forward them to you or to your emails. Thank you.
That'll be fine.
All right, thank you very much. So because of our time, I apologize again to our second trainer. Please, we are sorry, Mr. Chinedu Obwede, please. So the next thing on our agenda is a special guest speech rather, sorry. That is Moyo Soluwa Oladayo, who is the immediate past Yali Network Nigeria National Secretary. I hope we have her on board too. Mrs. Moyo Soluwa, are you here? Joy, Milida Joy, if you can hear me, please kindly check your DM. It's important. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
All right. Good evening. You're welcome, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. So just to make it quick and to save our time, good evening again, and thank you, Mr. Duro, for the training. I know most of you would have a question, especially for a very dynamic network like Yali Network. And I hope you can hear me. If you can hear me, do let me know. For a dynamic network like Yali Network Nigeria and some of its peculiar challenges that we face. But that's what makes the network really interesting and beautiful, because we've seen people really come out of their shell and just pick up the vision and run with it. And also to acknowledge the leadership of the network, to congratulate you once again for, sometimes I wonder how young people just take leadership position, and we know how tough that can be. Then you don't get remuneration for it. And at the end of the day, people still think, people say, it's not my business. I'm not the one at the forefront. So we know how it's not easy for those who wear the caps, but we cannot make a lasting impression or a lasting impact a sustainable impact if we do not sometimes be brave and just be the ones taking those bullets. So if you also, and I know this is about Leadership Academy, I've seen how the questions are coming, and if this is just me diverting. So if your intention is because I'm a leader, I should have people buying into my vision and they should just believe me, trust me, go ahead with me and things like that. It takes a while. I know Mr. Duron talked about you being a leader, communication is key, but beyond communicating the vision, are you living the vision? It's easy for people to trust you when they could see that you're living what you're saying. It's easy for people to trust that even if I make mistake, I have someone who I can draw from their own experience and the story. Can you share your struggle? Can you share how you've served? Can you share? It's not just about saying I have a vision. Can people also see the story or the journey of growth, of sacrifice, of investment, of burning candles? Can people see that in you? Then it becomes easy. Then the other part of building leaders is the fact that, are you building leaders because you want to have people in your camp or because you're genuinely interested in their growth? Can you look at someone and tell them, I'll just give you a typical example of a scenario that played out today. Maybe for sake of the fact of who I am. So where I work, I saw someone who was apparently, and it's a good news for Yali itself, who was an intern of Yali Abuja Fellowship, I think last year or 2 years ago, should be last year, placed with my organization. And I remember after the placement, this person kept begging that I would love to work with my organization. And I said, come on, you have your own initiative. You're already a founder, though you're new in Abuja, but you've been pushing this organization for over 2 years. It's time for you. I think the 6 weeks or 7 weeks, 8 weeks we spent together, I think I've invested enough in you to go out there. And today I entered one of the all in UN house and I saw him moderating a panel session of an ECOSOC youth program. I was just happy. Then when he was done, I told him, I said, I remember this time last year when I told you to go and start, continue when you stopped. It's as if I never wanted you to learn from me or serve me, but I knew that for the few weeks we've invested or we've worked together, you could be more. What is the purpose of building leaders? Is it because you want to continue to have servants, people who will continue to serve you? Or because you're genuinely building in them to become leaders one day? It's easy to have followers, but I tell you, it's better when you're surrounded by leaders. What happens is you're more blessed, you're more wealthy, you're more you can achieve faster. Your network, your worth of network is increasing as you're building leaders. So and I'm channeling this to our coordinators, executive members, specifically for you. And the fact that you are the ones at the ends of affairs right now does not mean it's all about you. No, it just means you're the one in the chain of command and the responsibility lies more on you. But you owe the network and the people a lot. And one of my success stories to always tell people that I could say when I was there, in as much as I didn't give anyone direct job, I invested heavily in people that I could say 20 to 30% of people were gainfully employed as a result of courses, trainings, exposure that they got, and connections that they got. So the overall interest in building leaders is not just in you as a person, but in the person you're building, in them becoming more and fulfilling purpose. I think when you get to that level of understanding, You don't need to buy or start lobbying for people to follow you. Like on a regular basis, people want to just work with me. People at some point you won't have the time. But you know why? People know that for every time you give them the opportunity, or I give them the opportunity, it's not for selfish purpose. So encourage you, whatever you learn today, and as you continue to desire to build leaders because you're genuinely interested in another person's growth. It will always come back to you. I tell you, investing in people is the best investment in life. I wish you all the best, and congratulations once again. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Muyo. In fact, we are blessed.
Okay,
One
I'm
of
not
the
Mrs. Moyo. I am not married. I'm a widow,
oh,
so I'm Miss Moyo. Thank you. No. I'm just saying it.
apologies.
So please, I don't
Okay,
like you when I Miss Moyo, so that it doesn't look as if I'm married to a ghost. Thank you.
okay. Apologies about that. Thank you very much for sharing those wonderful words with us. And one of the key things that I took from what you've said so far is, are you building leaders, or you just want people in your circle, or genuinely you want people to become leaders too, and then you have them around as leaders, not just because you want followers. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Thank you. And the next on our agenda right now is to have the profile of our second speaker, and that will be done by my leader here, leader Paul Lott Opara. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. And it's a very pleasant feeling to be in this kind of training. It's been value back to back, especially from Mr. Diron and followed by the very intelligent Moyo. Okay, so to save our time and utilize it judiciously, let's have the next speaker on our act. He is Mr. Chinedu. It's actually my name, so that's my Igbo name. Mr. Chinedu is a certified accountant. He's an He's an HR and management consultant with nearly 20 years experience in finance and strategy in both corporate and entrepreneurial ventures across West and Central Africa. He is a Harvard-trained negotiator and MIT-trained business problem solver, and holds an MBA for the Imperial College in the UK. So Mr. Chinedu Ogbeide is taking us on with the layering theme, leading the way, the power of passion and purpose and leadership is going to be taking us on the topic, the power triad. The power triad, enhancing leadership through effective decision making, conflict resolution, and negotiation strategies. The topic again is the power triad, enhancing leadership through effective decision making, conflict resolution, and negotiation strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, the next voice you'll be hearing will be the voice of Mr. Chinedu. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the introduction. Please confirm you can hear me.
Absolutely, sir.
We can hear you, sir.
Excellent. So thanks for the opportunity to be here. I am happy to I enjoy doing this. It's been so kind of, if I go back in time when I started my career, I kind of knew that around this time, right, this is about what I would be doing. So it's a passion of mine, and I'm always happy to take the opportunity. So thank you guys for having me. So a bit of introduction as well. I know some things have been said. So today we run a number of businesses, very diverse businesses. So for example, the dress I'm wearing, this is made by Roti Bloom, is one of the businesses within the family. We also power, so I'm an executive director at Safital. Safital powers many initiatives in Nigeria. The Nigerian Youth Academy, the SME Digital Academy. So the Nigerian Youth Academy in partnership with the Ministry of Youth, the SME Digital Academy in partnership with NEXA, with SMIDAN, and we also have the Nigeria Export Academy, which we do in partnership with Nexim. And we also do some initiatives around. So you can check out any of these platforms to kind of also where you can get continuous learning. So I would share my screen. Just let me know when you can see my screen. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Okay. So, the thing is, just looking at the timer, it's almost 8:30. And so we'll try to go a bit fast. And the question is, hopefully I'll keep it very active for you. I know from the time standpoint, we've all gone to work today. So the thing is, my promise to you is that at the end of our conversation, right, I'll share some stories with you. We'll become friends. And then 2, you understand some leadership and your role in it, right? How you can be better and what are your roles. And as we go along, I'll also share some tips with you on how you can better serve your careers. So I understand that is all volunteering, and we also have our day jobs. So whatever we discuss will help you even in the volunteering as well as on the day jobs. Okay. So getting right into it. So the topic here, it says power triad, enhancing leadership through effective decision making, conflict resolution, and negotiation strategies. So if you look at that topic, as mouthful as it is, let's break it down. There are 5 things that are there, and we'll try to talk on each one. So there's leadership, there's power, there's decision making, there's conflict resolution, and there's negotiation strategies. Now, each of these topics can be a 2-day course or a 5-day course, right? It all depends. Now we have to cover all of these things within 30 minutes. So I would give you some tips. We will not be able to go into so many details, but I'll give you some concepts that, if applied, would help, okay? Now, the first question is, why is there so much? So let's talk about leadership. And then you start with, why is there so much focus on leadership, as it were? So I joined this meeting and I hear leader this, leader black, leader, and I was just smiling. And I was saying, okay, so is there follower this, follower that? You understand? Because there's so much focus on leadership. And then why is that? And that is mainly because to achieve anything of significance in life, you need people. I take that again. To achieve anything of significance in life, you would need people. Now, for the Christians among us, even for God to redeem mankind, he had to send his son in the form of a man. So you need people, right, to be able to achieve something. And people are amazing. People are wonderful. If you just look around and think about what human beings have created, see technology, look at biology, physics, just look around and you'll be amazed at what humans have been able to create. And humans are kind as well. We show love to one another. But at the same time, humans, people, can be erratic. Now, on our own, one-on-one, between you and yourself, it's not everything about yourself that you fully understand. So sometimes you shock yourself, let alone when we are now in a group. And we have to take that our differences into a group. So people are erratic. Now, to minimize that chaos and to enable people achieve max potential, people need to be put in organized structures. Now, sometimes it's a volunteering structure where people are doing it out of the goodwill of their hearts, like we have with Yali. Sometimes is in an organized structure like the office, where there is established authority, there is hierarchy, and people have to be put in structures like departments, etc. I think there's somebody that has to mute. So people have to be put in organized structures. And that organized structure needs to have a leader. And that leader is you. And I say it is you today because there are many aspects of our lives that we are leaders. And by the time you factor in that you also lead, first and foremost, yourself. So leadership starts with us. And the first thing to being a great leader is that we have to start with being a great follower. There's always that thing on leadership, leadership, leadership. I have been a big advocate to say, I think we put too much pressure on the leader. And this is why sometimes people run away from leadership. We need to also pay attention to followership. Some people are difficult followers. Some people are difficult to manage. Some people are rude. Some people don't have manners. But we still have to deal with these people. Now, when they now go from being followers to becoming leaders, they don't exactly change. You will still carry that your behavior into leadership. So nothing automatically changes simply because you were given a position of leadership or you were given certain authority. If anything, somebody who is a terrible follower will be an even worse leader because now you have authority given to that person. So whether you are a leader today, so the aspects of your life where you are a leader, there are other aspects of your life where you are a follower. And I want to charge you today to be a great follower. So if you look at the image on the screen, there's the leader, there are people who are already following the leader. There's somebody who is running to get in line. The same way, there are some people that they are running away from the line. But those are not the people we are focusing on. Today, the challenge is to say, whether you are leading or whether you are following, be great at it. The greater follower you are, the greater a leader you would be. So my question to you now is, what kind of leader are you? And this is not just, remember I said there are different roles that we play. We are fathers, we are sons, we are brothers, we are employees, we are friends, we are children of God. So there are so many roles that we have to play. Now, my question is, what kind of leader are you? So let's bring it to Yali, for example, and we say, what kind of leader are you? Are you the leader that promotes people to speak up? Are you the kind of leader that encourages good ideas? That when people come to you with good ideas, you say, that is a beautiful idea, and you carry the person and you say, I want you to come and share this idea with everybody. People need to hear this, your good idea. Or are you the kind of leader that when you hear a good idea, you imagine that, no, I am the leader, this should be my idea. So you then take it from the person and you go and present it like it was your own idea. Are you the kind of leader that creates an environment where people can speak up? Or are you the kind of leader that ridicules people when they make a mistake? Or you encourage an environment that ridicules people when they make a mistake? So this is my question to you. What kind of leader are you? But my challenge to you, or my charge to you, is ultimately be the leader that truly cares. Because once you just say, I care, this is why they say love is the greatest emotion, right? Because once you say, I care, a lot of other things just fall in line. A lot of things will fall in line. When people know that you truly care, there is this famous saying that is said, that is attributed to Maya Angelou, that people will not remember what you say, but we always remember how you make them feel. So by truly caring for the project that you are on and for the people that you are working with, is a good way to be a great leader. So we've talked about leadership. Remember, I said we'll not be able to go into too many details, but at least I will give you a few things to ginger your thoughts. So now let's look at the other 4 things. Let's start with power. I remember there was this program on DSTV. It was called Jacob's Cross. And they did this, they had this preview, right? Like an ad for it. And I remember this saying where the guy said, power is not what I'm after. Power is what I need. And it kind of just stuck with me as a philosophy. So it's something you will hear me today to say, you know what, to achieve some things, you need power. But power is not what I'm after. It's just what I need for me to achieve my goal of touching and improving life. Money is not what I'm after, but money is what I need to be able to achieve my goal of touching and improving life. So this just became kind of like a philosophy for me to say, you know what, is not the outcome, is the ultimate objective. Why do you need power? So we are leaders and we have some power that has been given to us. But why did you go for that position? Why did you accept it? What are you trying to achieve with it? Or do you just enjoy the title of being a leader? Now, acknowledging that, to influence people, to organize people, you need some form of power. Now, the question becomes, where do you get power from? Where does power come from? Now, remember, we're trying to keep it as sweet and as sharp as possible. And from my experience, power comes from what you bring to the table. Now, remember I mentioned we have different roles in life. And for each of these roles, you still need to answer the question, what do you bring to the table? Think about it from a family point of view. Within your family, what do you bring to the table? And sometimes when we take this question, we assume it is resources, maybe in the form of money. And it is not necessarily, it doesn't always have to be money, but you have to bring something to the table. As a volunteer for Yali, what do you bring to the table? As a father, as an employee, whatever role you are playing, what do you bring to the table? We often think, especially when it comes to leadership in corporate forums or formal forums, we sometimes mistake that we need to have knowledge. But we can't know everything, right? So sometimes it's not knowledge. The primary role of a leader sometimes is to coordinate to achieve the ultimate objective. I'll give you an example. I'll tell you a short story. I had joined this company, so I changed jobs during the course of my career. And I had joined this company. It was the first time. So whenever I was talking to headhunters, when I was still with the first company, I worked with the first company for a long time, or more than 10 years. And recruiters will say, so just to confirm, all these your experiences with one company, all these your experiences with one company. And I always wondered what that meant until I spoke to one of my mentors who was like an HR director for one of the multinationals. And she said, oh, what they are trying to understand is that you have only had to prove yourself in one organization. You've not had to go to another organization and had to prove yourself from scratch. So at this point in time, I was in another organization. I was on an average 8 to 10 years younger than the average person on my grade, on the level on which I was employed. So I was under pressure to deliver. I understood that thing they were saying in terms of you've not had to prove yourself. So I had to prove myself because people questioned, where did you get this guy from? He's so young. What do you think what can he do? So at this point in time, what did I do? I asked myself this question. What do I bring to the table? And my charge to you is to seek to become a person of value. Because the more you bring to the table, the more valuable you are. So what did I do? And I don't recommend this for everybody, right? Because our ambitions are different. But I was under a lot of pressure and I couldn't fail, right? At that time, I was living in Lagos. I was living on the mainland and the office was on the island. I would literally leave my house by 5 o'clock every day. By 5:45, on an average, I was already seated on my desk. I had started work by 5:45. So if you are coming to work by 8 o'clock and we have a meeting for 11 o'clock, by the time you come by 8 o'clock, I am already 2 hours of work ahead of you. So if we have a meeting by 11 o'clock, it will be more difficult for you to be more prepared for that meeting than I was. I was the first person to get to the office and I was the last person to leave, give or take. I left the office at around 10 p.m., give or take. But I had one mission. I could not fail and I wanted to become a person of value. This happened for about 15 months. But at the end of that 15 months, I had built a reputation as a go-to person when you have anything business to talk about. Whether it was finance or strategy, which was my work at the time, people came from legal to seek my opinion, marketing, different departments, just to ask the question, Chinedu, what do you think? Because I had proven myself to be a person of value. So my charge to you today, and like I said, this is my example, and it was what I did. You don't have to do it the way I have done it. But the objective still stands, which is seek to become a person of value. That's really what gives you power. I hope that makes sense. So let's talk about decision making. Now, I always say this. Decisions are not an end in themselves, but a means to an end. You make a decision often because you're trying to achieve something. And for that decision, for every decision, there will be consequences. Whether you make a good decision, bad decision, there will be consequences. Now, also note that no decision is a decision as well. Not taking any decision is in itself a decision. And even that has its consequences. So I'll play you this video just to see how we all approach decisions differently. Just let me. Finally. Okay, so I know this is a video about chickens, right? But it plays out like this when it comes to decision making. If you notice, there were 5 chickens, right? There was the first one. The first one that got there was not the first chicken that crossed. The second one overtook the first one and crossed. Now, but look at that last chicken. Why did it take so much time? Now, sometimes there's that balance on speed when it comes to decision making. Today's world, we want to celebrate, we make quick decisions, we want to move fast. Now, sometimes moving fast can be reckless. So how do you find that balance? Now, look on the screen. You see, this chicken finally made the jump. But you see the other chickens, they already left him, which is representative of life. While you are thinking and calculating to make your decision, life is moving on. Life is happening. So when it comes to decision making, there are 2 key things. How do you make decisions? And how much time do you take to make decisions? Now, I'll give you an analogy here, and I'll tell you a story. It's a story of myself and my wife, right? Now, I am more of a thinker, meaning that if I want to make a decision, I like to have a clear idea of a good sense of what I'm getting into before I make that decision. My wife is almost like the opposite. She make a decision and then we'll figure it out as we go. So I'll give you an example of how it played out. So we moved houses some time ago, and you know those things, when you move houses, you just pack a lot of things into one room. And for like 2 years, we didn't clear that room. So we turned the visitors room to into an office, like an home office. So we now needed a visitors room, and we needed to go clear that room, right? Now, I go into the room as a thinker, and I'm analyzing the room. I'm standing there for like 30 minutes doing nothing. If you are watching me, you won't see me doing any physical activity or much physical activity, because at that time I'm analyzing, okay, so there are children's clothes here. Anything that is children's clothes, take it out. If the children have not used it for two years, it's probably not their size, take it out. Okay, so what else is here? Bed sheets and pillowcases. What else is here? And I'm trying to already sort out in my head how to approach it. My wife comes into the room and she goes, okay, we're ready, ba? And she opens one of the bags on the bed and turns it upside down. Boom. Okay, this is children's clothes. Let's start. And she goes to the next bag, pours it on the... At that point in time, I am freaking out. So what happens is that fundamentally, we are 2 different people in terms of how we approach decision making. I am more of a thinker, she is more of a doer. And this is also one potential area of conflict, which we will come to next, right? How decision making and how we make decisions can create conflict. When we've been married for 10 years now, so today we kind of understand each other. So she now makes me make quicker decisions, and I now make her think through some of her decisions because she accuses me that, Chinedu, you take too much time to make your decision. And then I accuse her that, babe, you need to think this thing well before you they act, because sometimes we they do and 2 times. But today we've been able to find that synergy. So how do you make decisions is important, and how much time you make decisions. These are 2 things that come into play when it comes to decision making. So to wrap up on this one, my question to you when it comes to decision making is reflect on your style of decision making and then think about how it affects others. Now, I've had a boss who, you see this thing that I just described between myself and my wife. Let's take it to the workplace. Me, I've mastered working under pressure. So you see all those last minute deadlines with a chop arm, right? So, but I had a boss who is not like that. His own is, if I give you a task on Monday, by Tuesday, I want to see progress. By Wednesday, I want to see progress. But if you give me a task by Monday and you need it by Friday, don't come to me until like Thursday evening. Don't worry, because I'll maybe use Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to think about it, and I'll use Thursday to work on it. So different styles, but you need to understand, how does your own style affect others, affect your relationships, affect your workplace, affect the group. And my charge to you here, so if you've noticed, I always have a question, a question for reflection, and a charge. My charge to you here is that you should have a bias for action, have a bias for speed. So no matter how, if you are like me, that you are a thinker, and you know, overthinkers, we don't have time. If not, we would have had overthinkers. I can go 30 minutes and give you a speech on overthinkers, right? But overthinkers, you know yourself. So no need to call out. But overthinkers tend to fall into this trap. And my charge to you is, have a bias for action. So we've talked about power. We've talked about decision making. Let's quickly talk about conflict resolution. Now, you see, on this one, human beings are emotional creatures, and that makes us complex. As long as there are people, there will be conflict. Because as long as there are people, there will be problem. That's a given. So the question is not that there will be no problem. Even God had a problem of Lucifer causing a rebellion. So it's not just even people say, even among angels, there can be problem. In the spiritual world, there is problem, let alone in the physical, things they happen. So but I have observed that there are 3 major causes of conflict. One is ego. Ego is a major source of conflict. Do you know who I am? Wanting to showcase your power, your influence, thinking that you are better than the next person, assuming that what you think is more superior to what the other person thinks, that your opinion is more superior to the other person's opinion. Why? What makes your opinion more superior? That you are the leader does not mean that your opinion is more superior. This is where you need to humble yourself and learn from the people that you are in the same team with. Secondly, it's a breakdown in communication. We have different objectives. Also, the information that is available, sometimes you have a bad day and you come back knowing that you have a bad day, and you just assume that every other person knows that you had a bad day, but they did not know. So they are interacting with you normally. It's you that knows that. So sometimes there's that, we assume that people have the same information that we have. Or our approach differences in personality. Now, I put all of this under breakdown in communication because they can be easily resolved by just communicating. And thirdly, we are very quick to judge. And how does this play out? This plays out when somebody would say, you know, that kind of thing where if I do something wrong, there is a logical explanation for it. But if you do something wrong, you are a bad person. This is something that human beings tend to do a lot. So we are quick to justify ourselves, but judge others. So when it comes to conflict resolution, my question to you, and I want you to constantly ask yourself this question whenever you are in a conflict situation, and ask, what is your role in the conflict? And are you being objective in how you are analyzing the conflict? It's a tough pill to swallow, much easier said than done. Because for you to do this, you have to step down your ego, which is a very difficult thing to do. But it's something that must be done. Because conflict resolution starts with you. Now, my charge to you when it comes to conflict resolution is to focus on the issue objectively. You see, I put that objectively underlined. And get your ego in check. We were running a program on behalf of the First Lady's office last week in Lagos at University of Lagos. And something happened. And somebody said something that suggested that me and by proxy, my company, that we don't know what we are doing. And the thing hits my ego. Like me, my company, we don't know what we are doing. Like, who born you? So I reacted in a way that was, in quotes, I could logically justify. But the truth of the matter is that from the other person's point of view, it came out hostile. So it didn't matter what my opinion was. To the extent that my reaction came out hostile, I then had to go back to that person and say, oh, I apologize. There is a lot of pressure, right? Because the First Lady was coming in. She was going to do the opening ceremony. There were so many things. Everybody just came in and had an opinion. So there was a lot of this thing. And then so there was a lot of pressure on that. So you kind of just know that you keep your ego in check and look at things objectively. Then lastly, just to touch on negotiation, the good thing is that we are already masters of negotiation. We've been doing this since we were children. Negotiation is not something that is super complex. We are constantly negotiating. Now, when it comes to negotiation, my tip to you here is assess both parties, yourself and the other party, or the other parties that are involved in the conversation. From the position of power, it's not every negotiation that you go into that you have the upper hand. Some negotiations you go into and you do not have the upper hand. Once you acknowledge this, it will help you know how you approach the conversation. And then you also need to look at what is your objective. What am I trying to get out of this situation? And also, what is the objective for the other party? What are they trying to get out of the situation? So once you understand these two things, it will help you know what is important and what is not important when it comes to the conversations around the negotiation. So my question to you here is, every time you're in negotiation, always ask yourself, are you being fair and objective? Because any negotiation that leaves the other party disadvantaged is actually not a good negotiation. It's not a good outcome. What you want to achieve is to seek win-win. Now, one strategy I normally use is I go very objective. And when the other person is making a point, I do tell the person and acknowledge that you are making a point. I like this point. It makes sense. Now, once I acknowledge that, and then I now, from that your point, now tell you where I'm coming from. To a large extent, just because the other person feels heard. Because in conflicts, sometimes people kind of stop listening to each other. But once I'm able to acknowledge that actually I'm listening to you and I understand you, I find that it wins the other person to a very large extent. So we've touched on all four of them as quickly and as briefly as possible. Now, in fairness, if you do all of these things that we have spoken about, does it guarantee success? The answer is no. Let me play you this video. I'm invincible. I will never go so powerful. So as I was saying, I cannot promise you that if you follow all of these tips, that success will be guaranteed. Nobody can give you that promise. Nobody, not even your pastor, nobody can give you that promise. However, you have to try. You have to take that step. You have to take that leap. You have to apply yourself. That's the key word. You have to apply yourself. At least you have a chance. Or, as someone said, I think it was Pastor Chris Oyakilome that said it, you have something that God can bless. So, as we wrap up, I know we are on a 3-day journey. My charge to you is, let all these you're learning lead to action. Do more. You're already an expert at thinking. The world is not lacking thinkers. Do more. And lastly, be a good person. And be the reason that someone will believe in good people. Because when it comes to leadership, when it comes to conflict, when it comes to power, when it comes to negotiation, a lot of it just gets solved when your intentions are good. So be a good person and be the reason other people believe in good people. So I hope I kept my promise to you. That's about it from my end. I hope I've been able to keep my promise to you. So that is me. That is all from my end. That is me on LinkedIn. Please reach out, drop a message. Let's connect. Not be when I don't become president or when I become minister of finance, then it go too late to. So better know, it's good you know me now. Just teasing anyway. But really,
thank you very much.
That's all from my end. So let's go make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are so blessed with your experience that you've shared. It is sometimes when you have something to tell, especially when it comes to story and it has to do with your personal life, there is a way you tell it in a better way. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you very much. God bless you too. So we will try to connect with you, not until when you now become the president. We know. Thank you very much, sir. So right now we'll try to accept some questions. So please, if you have question for our facilitator, I will appreciate it if you can just raise your hand and then we attend to it. So please, let's make it a very quick one. And if you want to ask a question, make it a direct question because of our time, please. So if you have a question, please kindly raise your hand. Anyone?
You know, they say if there are no questions, it means that either
Okay.
people don't
No,
understand or they
we do
fully
that.
understand.
Exactly. There is someone. Okay. Please, we would like to attend to just two questions. So if you will be the second person, let me know now. So we have Isiaka Ridwan Abiodun. Please make your question a quick and direct question. Thank you so much. You have the floor, Isiaka. Are you?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. We can hear
Can
you.
we all hear me, please? Now,
Yes, Isiaka, we can hear you.
firstly, I would like to appreciate our facilitator. May the Almighty God continue to increase your wisdom and understanding, sir.
Amen.
Okay.
Same to you, my brother.
My question is, you made mention of conflict, where you try to say ego is a major source of conflict. I would like to get more explanation on that because I've seen a situation whereby some people believe that if they don't have this power, a conflict cannot be solved. That is, if they don't have the power to be in a position, they can't be able to solve a conflict. So that mentality, how can we overcome that? Thank you.
So thanks for that. And I'll give you my, so the thing here is, remember I said sometimes to coordinate people, you need some form of power, right? Because then what's your business, right? So I'm being very practical here. So the question is, what's your business? Now you're dealing with human beings as well. So you need to be mindful first and foremost to say, because sometimes good intentions don't always cut it. Despite your good intentions, you need to also apply wisdom. So, for example, if it's not, you might see something wrong. How do you approach it? Knowledge is knowing what to say or what to do. Wisdom is knowing when, how, if, a manner of approach, etc. So if you identify something wrong and you tell the person in a meeting like this that something is wrong, what you have done is trigger that person's ego because you are embarrassing the person in quotes in public. But if you could call that person one-on-one and say, this is what I think, especially where you don't have the authority, right? Then you can call the person one-on-one and say, this is what I think. I think if we can do this, we can do this. So again, there's no clear-cut answer for it. The first question I will ask is, because some people also they chook mouth for everything. Not be everything concern you. You chook mouth for your own, chook mouth for the one when not concern you. Sometimes you just let people handle their thing, call out where you call out, identify where you have an issue, then step back, right? Because also imposing yourself is also not good. Could also be ego. You thinking that because you think is a problem, everybody has to assess it in the same way. If you think it's a big problem, then everybody has to think it's a big problem. That's your ego. If you think your opinion is better than another person's opinion, sometimes that's your ego. I hope that helps. Like I said, there's no clear cut, there's no one clear, there's no one clear answer, but be mindful. Is it your space? Is there ways in which you can approach that same situation?
All right, thank you very much, sir. So we have
thank you,
second
sir.
person. Okay. We have the second person, and that is Jimba Jesse. However, before he will at the floor, I would like to request from our facilitator to drop the slides and also the videos, because they are very, very inspirational, especially those chicks. Oh my goodness, I need to repost. Please, we'll appreciate it if we can get them, sir. Is that possible?
Yes, it's possible.
All right, thank you very much. So the second person is Jimba. Sorry, is it Gimba? Gimba Jesse. Please, you have the floor now. Please make it a quick and direct. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Gimba. We can hear you.
Yes. My question. Well, it was a wonderful discussion. My question is, when you're making critical decisions, what are the things you're supposed to look at before taking the final decision?
So the first question I ask is, what makes it a critical decision, right? So because again, we all assess these things differently. What is a critical decision to me may not be a critical decision to someone else, right? There are things I consider. I give the example of myself and my wife, and if I think it's a critical decision, I want to think about it. My wife may not think it's a critical decision, so we would approach it differently. So my first question to you will be, why do you even consider this to be a critical decision? One. Now let's assume that it is a critical decision. Now the question is, what are you trying to achieve? Right? What is this decision going to help you achieve?
Okay.
So by the time you understand what that decision is going to help you achieve, it will then help you know what is important, right?
Okay.
What are the variables that are at play?
Okay.
You see what I'm trying to say? So sometimes it could be, so people say jackpot, for example, and I ask, why are you traveling? What are you seeking to achieve by that travel? So you just realize that, oh, some people, because the person, or you have somebody that says, I'm going to do an MBA or I'm going to do a master's. I've met somebody with 3 masters, and I ask the person, what are you trying to achieve? Okay. So once you know the objective, and I think sometimes we make decisions without necessarily fully assessing, what am I trying to achieve? How important is that thing? So depending on what you are trying to achieve, that will determine what are the variables that are important and what are the variables that are not important. Because some things are loud doesn't mean they are important. You see what I mean? That it is loud or that it is urgent doesn't necessarily mean that it is important. So for me, in determining, first question, what makes it a critical decision? What are you trying to achieve? It will guide you on what are the variables that come into play and help you do that quadrant, which the last speaker, I think, was talking about in terms of what is urgent, what is important, what is not urgent, what is not important. And knowing the objective will help you do that. I hope that was helpful.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Yes, I'm with you.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much. Is there any other question? And before that, I would like to implore every one of us on this call to please check the chat box. There is a particular link there. That is a WhatsApp link that you need to join. Please do so. Please kindly check the chat box now. You'll see the WhatsApp academic group chat. Kindly use that link to join, please. It is important. If there's any other question, we would like to take one more question. One more question, please. Anyone? If you have a question, please signify and let's know now. Anyone? Okay. So for me, I would like to just, okay. Any question? Oh, Gimba, please mute your mic. Oh. Do you have a question? Okay, thank you very much. So, if you have a question, please kindly unmute your mic and ask. So from our punchlines, our facilitator also said that in conflict resolution, you need to focus on the issue objectively and keep your ego in check. It is very important. Also, power is not what I am after. Power is what I need. So we need to see how we can actually incorporate all this in our actions. They are very important. And also, the greater follower you are, the greater leader you will be. It's just like you are training yourself. So, without further ado, since we have no any other question, I would like to call on our okay, copy. I would like to call on our leader, Daniel Black, to quickly, because of our time, we apologize for being somehow late, to quickly have the session. Oh, sorry, not a session though, just to have a remark and comment. Thank you. Leader Black, sorry, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much, Leader Barakat. Like our last speaker just said, this one that we are saying leader this, leader that. Who will we now call follower this, follower that? That's on the lighter note though, but thank you so much to all our speakers, Mr. Diron, Mr. Chinedu. I'm so excited that they took so much time. If you see the quality of their presentations, you would know that they put in so much effort to this. My name is Daniel Black. I am the Yali Network Abuja coordinator. I'm also privileged to be the national head for Yali Network Nigeria 2024. And it's quite exciting that this is our first national engagement, and I am excited at the number of people that have come out to learn the art of leadership. I want to really, really appreciate everyone that has come out, those that stayed from the start to to today's ending. We are going to have another session tomorrow where we'll have two extraordinary speakers, and we are going to have the last session on Saturday, having another set of speakers. I want to implore you all that do not renege, do not feel discouraged. You may be having some peculiar challenges as leaders in your different organizations, in your different state hubs, but we are all here together to support ourselves. That being said, I will not want to take much of our time anymore. Please, there is a certificate that will be issued to participants, but I want to also put it out here that that certificate will only be issued to participants that attend all 3 days. So please take the attendance seriously. There's a group that has been created. That group is so that you can follow up and get your certificate in your correct name. So please take it very, very importantly. Tomorrow we will take another set of attendance, and on Saturday we will take another set of attendance. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. These certificates are just a record of the knowledges that you have acquired over time, and it at times helps to boost your confidence. By the time you're trying to apply for some things, by the time you're trying to participate in some things, and you look back at the things you've done, it boosts your confidence to go forward. So once again, I want to thank you. I want to thank the whole team, the National Coordinators Forum, the National Working Committee, Barakat, thank you, Joy Ayanda, everybody that is working at the background. I may not be able to mention names. Today has been a massive success, a beautiful one at that. I will also encourage each and every one of us, please, make a Facebook post about this. You can make a post and tag our social media pages. I was part of the leadership conference, the Leadership Academy, and this is what I learned on day one. And then invite others to join us tomorrow. So please, if you join the group, check the Judy Ejang, check the chat group. You will see the link to the WhatsApp group, and you join. Make a post. There are punchlines that will be dropped in the WhatsApp group. Please make a post about it. Let us celebrate Yali Network. Yali Network is an organization that we all are proud of. So please make a post about it, invite others. And then we are also streaming live on our YouTube. If you're watching from YouTube, please do well to subscribe. do well to also share the link. Thank you so much. There's a whole lot to say, but because of time, we will cut it short till tomorrow. Please come on time so that we do not go past. We are supposed to end this session by 9 p.m. Please do come on time. The link has been dropped again. Check the chat box before we leave. So this meeting will be left open for another 30 minutes in as much as we are closing now, for you to check the chat box, join the WhatsApp group, and go and ensure that your attendance is being kept. The starting time is 7 p.m. We are starting by 7 p.m. on the dot, and we hope to end by 9 p.m. So please come on time. By tomorrow, if you notice some people try to join, they could not join. So once we hit the marks, the next set of people will be transferred to the YouTube channel, because we are streaming live on YouTube. So it's like going to a church or a mosque. The people that came early, they will sit in front, and then the others will go and be streaming. So please come early tomorrow. Thank you once again. Adejumo Baraka, thank you for leading this. I think I'm done. Or in case, or I may take one or two questions. If you have questions you brought about Yali Network, about the program, is there any question for me directly at about Yali or Yali Network Nigeria, or about the Leadership Academy that you want to ask quickly? Is there any question? Please check the chat boxes. Is there anybody raising their hand? Starting time is 7 p.m. daily. Is anybody raising their hand? Okay, so I don't see any hand, so I believe that we are all good and fine. So Adejumo, I hand over back to you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Leader Black. And let me start with appreciation. I really appreciate all the entire team, the national air, the secretary, and as well the coordinators across. And please, if you have any question, just like Leader Black said, please do forward your questions. Do not leave the call until you join the WhatsApp group. It is important. We won't take any excuses, please. It is important. Let us follow the protocols duly. And a very quick one, I would like to appreciate my dear one, Joy Ayoda. Well done. Thank you. Shout out to you. Paul Opara, Ngozi Clara, every one of you, well done. Thank you. And please, if you want to make a post, kindly tag Yali Network Nigeria. It is important. You can tag us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, across all social media, and we'll promise to repost your content. However, we'll try to do that. Thank you very much for joining. Tomorrow, okay, how do I become a member of Yali? How do I join a state up? Okay, that's question one. I'll direct that to Leader Black. And if there's any other question, please drop your question. It is important. Make sure you join the WhatsApp group, please.
Yes, please join the WhatsApp group. We'll answer your questions. We have Yali Network in all the states, almost all the states across Nigeria. So once you identify your state, we will link you up to your coordinator or any exco there, and then they will now share with you the membership process for that state. So yes, just join the group for the Leadership Academy, and we can take off from there. What about Borno State, Mr. Black? Join the group. We will share contact of people in those different states for you. Every state. We may not be able to take more questions because it may take a whole lot of time. So please join the group. Please, Joy, can you drop the link again? Because I think chat has taken the link up. Drop the link again there. Please join the group, and then all other questions will be answered from there. Thank you so much. Like I said, this call will remain open for the next 20-30 minutes for you to see the link and join the group. And then the group has been dropped again. The link has been dropped again. Please join the link, and we'll continue from there. Thank you so much, everybody. See you guys tomorrow, 7 p.m. on the dot, and we have another exciting time with another exciting set of people to train us. Cheers.
Okay, thank you very much. This call will still be available until maybe in the next 20 to 30 minutes. You can still join the WhatsApp group. That is important. And please do come very early tomorrow, not to miss out anything. So, sorry, I'll be leaving you guys on this call for now. I am back at Adijuma, and I'm so glad to moderate the session. In case you have any question, don't forget to drop it. Thank you very much. See you guys tomorrow.
Person leave by.
All right, guys, I think we can close the meeting now. Everybody here, I think I can recognize all the names here. They're yearly members, so we can close the meeting now and continue in the Leadership Academy WhatsApp group. Cheers, guys. Mark.